What's going on, everybody? It's Merk back here with some more Draft League content, and we've got National Pokeball League Season 8, and we are going into Week 3. So, last week we beat Blake. It's just a 1-0 victory, but we're now 2-0 with a +5, which is pretty solid for a good placement in the division. We're behind Rob, who is just like blowing everybody away. So this game's really important, and we're taking on Adam, or the Bee's Knees, coach of the Houston Solrockets. We've never played Adam before, so this is kind of coming into new territory, but I'm just going to hop right into it. His draft is Mega Lopunny, Blacephalon, Serperior, Klefki, Hippowdon, Toxapex, Z Mesprit, Z Dragonite, Electivire, Volibee, and Regirock. So he's got some big threats. I definitely was fearing some things more than others. Mega Lopunny is a huge threat, Blacephalon's a pretty big threat, Dragonite is an enormous threat against my team. And Serperior is another really threatening thing to bring against me. So I thought this was a really interesting matchup. He thinks that this matchup was like impossible in his on his behalf, but I did think that he had some very good mons against me that could do some serious work. So it was definitely going to be a tough matchup. So I'm just going to hop into the team since it's been a little bit since I built this, so I don't exactly remember like all of my insights and stuff. But first thing we have is a Choice Scarf Lele. Rockin' Modest because we don't need to hit, we can run Modest and still outpace a Jolly Dragonite, which is the next fastest, which is the fastest speed tier that we have to hit. And that just gives us a little extra power. Nothing crazy about this set. It's like dual Psychic moves, HP Fire, Moonblast. It was just there for depending on the scenario, like if I wanted to revenge kill stuff like a CM Blacephalon, or like if he's AV Serperior or something like that, Psyshock would be better. But more likely I'll just be clicking Psychic since it's my stronger option. He's got some good stops to this in Klefki. Bulky Mesprit can take some hits as well. Those are the two main ones. I guess potentially like Hippowdon and Toxapex could pivot, that sort of thing. This is interesting. I wanted Scarf Lele because this gives me a really good offensive check to Lopunny since it can't hit me with its priority, and I always one-shot it with my Psychic, which is great. Overall, this is just a really nice threat against this team, and I thought it was a good thing to have on the team. Originally I had a different set just because like his Psychic resists aren't very good. I wanted to run like Specs, but I just ended up needing Scarf a whole lot more for how this team was functioning. So next I've got my Aerodactyl, which is also Choice Scarfed, and yeah, Scarf Arrow, rocking Edge, Aerial Ace, Defog, EQ, with almost max. I've got, this speed is here so that I can outrun a +2 Jolly Dragonite with my Choice Scarf. So if he's like Agility D-Knight, or if he has 2 DDs up, I can outspeed it and fire off a Stone Edge with my arrow. So that was kind of the rationale behind this. This also lets me outspeed faster Scarfers, like the main one was Blacephalon, but potentially Serperior. Electivire if he's running a timid one. I really with my Lele, I wasn't really too afraid of Evire, since if he's a Scarfed Evire, then he's not really doing anything against my team, so I didn't think it was pertinent to creep it. So yeah, like this is here, I've got good old 4th move Defog to, just in case hazards and screens get up, I don't really want to deal with them, so I won't deal with them, so I'll just defog them. And then this thing's just kind of nice. It could clean up potentially, and it's just good revenge killer. I wish I could fit like Pursuit on here for like the Blacephalon, but I just couldn't. I felt like these 3 moves plus defog were going to be more important, so I don't know. It's a good one. It can revenge stuff. If I get the Serp and the Lopunny weakened, then I can knock him out with like an Aerial Ace. I think it does run 50 to 60% since Aerial Ace is pretty weak, but it's what we got. So next we've got Kartana. I know this is a set I've been interested to try out. It's Timid Kartana, so I'm running Life Orb Timid Kartana with SD, Leaf Blade, Smart Strike, and Knockoff. Just max HP, max speed with 19 attack IVs with the Timid Natures so that I get a speed boost. And if you don't understand how this set works, basically I just set my EV so that I get speed boosted instead of attack. And the reason I want to do this is because I think this is going to be an offensive matchup. And Kartana, Kartana's really nice because I can set up and break through stuff, but he does have things like the Lopunny and potential Scarfers like Blacephalon or anything like that or just any choice Scarfer could revenge kill if I was an attack boosting set, since I'm not packing like Tailwind or anything on this one. And I thought this was going to be a cool idea because I really did think the matchup was going to be offensive, and there are potential things that I can set up against, like the potentially the Klefki, Volibee if he brings it, Regirock, Toxapex. Those are the less likely ones, but Hippowdon was a good one, and if I just found the opportunity to set up and his team's weakened, I could just sweep through him because after a speed boost, I outspeed everything that's not Scarfed Superior, which I don't think is as likely since he'd want to be able to change moves, I feel, with Serp, since I have a Venusaur and a Heatran that he needs coverage to hit me with. So, yeah. The downside to Timid Cart is it doesn't do that much damage before a Swords Dance, so I definitely have to kind of get things in range before and try and find an opportunity to set up so I can get the Cart Ball rolling. But even so, this thing is pretty strong, just because Kartana's attack stat is obscene, and we do have the Life Orb to help mitigate that, because like after an SD with Life Orb, things die after like Stealth Rocks, which is really important. Next, I've got Zapdos. Also, shouts to Kyle for helping me build. He gave good insight. I've got a Subtoxic Dose, mainly physically defensive. This is my best check to Lopunny, because otherwise Lopunny would really just run over my team. Like, nothing else takes a hit from it. So I needed this thing to switch into it. I take 2 returns from Lopunny no matter what, which is cool. Subtoxic's nice because it just kind of beats everything on his team. Like, yeah. Static is here just to catch the Lopunny if he fires off a Fake Out or something, and I can just get the paralysis. That will be very beneficial because that means like my Kartana can naturally outpace it, so can my Dugtrio, and not the Heatran, but like, yeah, staticking that Lopunny would be nice. And Subtoxic, it lets me beat the Serp potentially if I catch it on the switch. It lets me break down the Hippowdon, the Mesprit, the Regirock potentially, those kind of things. That's going to be really nice. I have a little bit of speed here just to avoid creep. My Fizz Def is there for the Lopunny, and I just threw a little into special defense to maybe pad a hit a little better. So pretty simple set, pretty cool set. I could have gone pressure as well so that I could limit Superior's Leaf Storms, but I just didn't think that would be... I felt Static was a little nicer in this one, so it's just kind of a coin flip. So next we've got Heatran. This is very important as it helps me check a lot of his team. So I've got Shuckleberry Tran with Rocks, Lava Bloom, HP Ice, and Will-O-Wisp. I'm pretty much max special defense. I have a little speed just to outpace, like, this was for 0 speed Mesprit and D-Knight if he decided to run those, though I don't think 0 speed Dragonite is likely. This thing's just going to be a nice stop to a whole bunch of stuff. Get up my rocks. It gives me a really good check to Serp since I can take a +2 HP ground easily, and then do a lot of damage back with Lava Plume and put it in range of my Choice Scarfers and my Dugtrio. HPS Will-O-Wisp is here to, well, Will-O-Wisp would be nice to catch possibly the Hippowdon, but it's mainly here for the Dragonite, so that if he DDs up... He can DD up on me, but I Will-O-Wisp it, and then I take 1 hit, and then I hit him with an HP Ice, and a Burnt Dragonite's not doing that much damage. So this thing's... I felt Heatran was very important in this game. Getting up rocks would be really nice, and just being able to pressure his team is important for me. And lastly, I have a Dugtrio, and I brought this thing because I felt I was very weak to Superior. And another mon that I kind of had 4 move slot on. I'm running Flyinium Z with Aerial Ace, EQ, Rock Tomb, and Memento with... This set is basically just max. I believe this is so that I can outrun an Adamant Lopunny, because I felt he might want to do that, and like I've mentioned this before, but HP on Dugtrio really doesn't matter. So yeah, I just felt like running that. The thing with this set is Z Aerial Ace does about 70% to the Superior, so if I can weaken it with something, then I can knock it out. Also, if I get like the static para on the Lopunny, I can revenge it with this. Rock Tomb is here just so that I can keep the Dragonite slow, because even if it gets attack boosts, as long as it's not getting fast, I can just kind of deal with it by revenging it with either or Lele or Arrow, so that seemed important. And lastly, I have Memento, just as an option to facilitate like a cart sweep. That was the main thing, or just like safely get in my one of my other mons. So that's the team. I didn't have as much time to put as much effort into this one, but I still thought it was pretty solid. So let's go ahead and hop into the match. Alright, so here we are, and Adam brought a team that I wasn't exactly expecting. The thing that surprised me most was that there was no Serperior. I felt Serp was really good against my team, but everything here kind of makes sense. Hippowdon can sponge hits from a lot of my physical attackers. Blacephalon I knew was coming, Lop, D-Knight, Klefki, I felt all of those things were coming. Mesprit is a good check to Lele and other stuff, so I don't know, this matchup was a little weird, but I felt pretty okay with it, so let's just get into it. He's going to lead off with his Hippos. I led off with Zapdos. I felt like Zapdos led well versus pretty much anything, and if I could get a Toxic off on either of his potential rockers, Mesprit or Hippo, that would serve to benefit me. So I'm just going to go right ahead for the Toxic. As I get it off on the Hippos, he sets up his rocks. Now this is nice. What I'm going to do is go right for the Substitute to dodge a potential Toxic of his own, or to see if he has Stone Edge or something, as he's going to go hard into his Lopunny. Now this confused me. I considered that he could have Encore, and if he locked me into sub, that would have just been a crazy play, but I don't have anything that wants to switch into this Lopunny, so I'm just going to stay in and click T-Bolt, as more likely that he's just going to try and break my sub. So he goes for the return, as I'm going to T-Bolt, and that does 34. Now, I ran some calcs and was like, that's an insanely bulky Lopunny. Like, I couldn't... This Lopunny has an absurd amount of special defense. I found, and we'll kind of see what more this thing has packing as it goes on, but that Thunderbolt really doesn't do anything. So what I'm going to do here is fire off a Roost and just kind of see what he is. The return goes off, and that shows me that he is probably adamant with little investment, or... yeah, that was my best hypothesis. That I was trying to guess what kind of set this was. I was assuming there's maybe like Jolly with enough speed for the Kartana, and then a bunch of attack and a bunch of Spadef and HP. So I was really confused on what this set was, as he's just going to return, do 40, which definitely shows me he has some solid investment. But he's like Jolly max attack, or adamant with a little bit of investment, something like that. So I was very confused. I'm just gonna fire up a T-Bolt. As he goes for the rest, I'm like, huh, okay. I was at this point still pretty confused. I'm just gonna keep on firing off T-Bolts as he is rest talk with the return. I'm just gonna keep on going for those T-Bolts. I'm gonna go for the rest, for the Roost right here, as he's going to sleep roll the rest. So I don't know what to do with this thing really, but I know he's probably going to go for the rest right away. So I'm gonna make, I believe right here, no, I don't make that play yet. I'm just gonna fire for T-Bolt once no, I'm gonna go for the sub. I'm sorry, I'm getting my plays wrong. I'm gonna go for the sub, just kind of see if I can cheese these sleep talk rolls, and potentially maybe get some hacks. I get the crit T-Bolt right there, which is huge, because now I can really put the pressure on him as he shows power up punch. So he is rest talk power punch with a lot of Spadef, which tells me that this thing was meant to try and like beat my entire team if I brought like Aloe and Umbreon and Mega Venusaur and all those things. So definitely an interesting set. And I postulate at this point that he's probably not going to be faster than like my Doug Trio, and I really wasn't I was so confused by this set. I wasn't sure how much investment of anything that he had. But here I know he's going to rest again, so I'm just going to go right into my Lele just so that I can get some momentum going. Unfortunately, Psychic Terrain does not block rest like Electric Terrain does and Misty Terrain, but here I'm just going to pull the double right out because I know that his whatever his Lele switch in can't deal with Heatran very well unless he decides to have like AV Hippo or something. So he's going to go Mesprit. Now this is fine. I'm just going to go right ahead and get my Stealth Rocks up. I don't mind this Hippowdon coming in. So yeah, I got my Rocks up, which is going to be nice. I need Rocks so that I can sweep with my cart, because after Rocks, D-Knight should go down to a +2 Smart Strike. So that's what I was thinking. Right here, I'm just going to go right back into my Zapdos. I don't think this Hippo can do anything to me as he goes for the EQ. Yeah, and I'm just going to be able to just kind of hang out here. I believe I'm going to go for the T-Bolt, expecting him to go... No, I'm going to go Roost, seeing if he has like the Stone Edge or something, but it doesn't look like he does. As he goes Klefki, and I want damage off on this thing, so I'm No, I'm going to go right into my Heatran because I don't want my thing toxic. He's going to go right for the spike. So spikes are up. That's not great. I don't like having spikes on my side of the field. I'm going to go for the Lava Plume right here. Because I'm Shuca Berry, I know I can take one hit from this thing, and kind of my goal with this Hippo is to, well, keep it low, just because it's an annoying thing. So I'm going to go for the Lava Plume right here, knowing that Slack Off is coming, and I just want to force this thing to stay in and stay low by taking more Toxic. So now what I'm going to do is go into Zapdos here, as he's going to go for the EQ, and now I know he's going to switch out, so I can just fire off a T-Bolt onto the incoming Klefki. And at this point my goal is just get rid of the Klefki, so I'm going to T-Bolt. It does 32%, so that's showing he's Spadef, but I can just keep on firing off T-Bolts. I figure he's going to want to get up his spike here, so I'm going to T-Bolt again. I get a crit, which is unfortunate because I can knock him out with another T-Bolt right here. Now, thinking long term, I believe I should have saved my Zapdos here and gone into my Heatran, because he's going to Toxic me, which I saw coming, but I really should have just gone into Heatran and prevented Zapdos from getting Toxic, because Zapdos can kind of just wall everything. Now he's going to go into Hippo right here, and this is interesting. I'm going to go right into my Aerodactyl because I don't think he's got EQ, or I mean, he doesn't have Stone Edge, so I'm pretty free right here to go for the Defog because I don't want spikes up. And now that Klefki's gone, I know I can get my rocks back up, and I don't mind rocks versus rocks, but I really don't like spikes and rocks versus rocks. So he's going to Whirlwind me out into my Kartana, which is really nice because now I get to scout stuff. I'm going to go for Knockoff. If I get rid of an item, that's fantastic, and I want to see what his switching is. I figured it'd be Dragonite, as he does go into it, and that does 10. Now it tells me a few things. First of all, that this thing is holding a Z Crystal or Mega Stone, which is less likely, and this thing is very physically defensive. So this is a Phys Def D-Knight meant to deal with my Kartana, which is a little disappointing because I run some Calcs and I need this thing up. If he's fully physically defensive, a +2 Smart Strike is doing like 63%. So I need this thing chipped, and that means I need to get rocks up, and I need to prevent it from healing. So I'm gonna go right. I'm gonna go hard into my arrow right here, in case he either goes for the fire move, or for like if we went for fire move or for the setup, I could just outspeed this thing and knock it out potentially, or get big damage off. And I'm just gonna pull the double back into my Lele, knowing that Hippowdon's gonna come out. So the Hippo's here, and now what I can do is just get a big hit off. I know that Mesprit's going to be the switch in now, so I'm going to fire off a Moonblast expecting that. It does 27, so that shows me he's a specially defensive Mesprit, which is not good. He's going to go for the knock. He gets a crit, which may have mattered in the long run, but I'm going to switch right back into my Heatran now, as I want to get my rocks up. Because at this point in the game, my mindset is, if I can get those rocks up and get D-Knight whittled a little bit more, then I can sweep with my Kartana. So I'm going to get my rocks as he's going to EQ, which is a good read. Now here I'm just going to... So my Heatran's kind of dead now since he's going to be able to get up his rocks. So what I'm going to do is fire off a Lava Plume once again, just kind of keep him low. I guess this would have been an opportunity to maybe go into Cart and force in the Dragonite again, but what I'm going to do is... I fire off another Lava Plume, just kind of willing to sack my Heatran off. Now here's where I kind of make a misplay. I don't know if it's so much a misplay, but I was playing with rolls, and I was playing with fire essentially, because at this point I expect that his Lopunny is not faster than my Dugtrio. I don't think it's possible that he can be that bulky, that powerful, and that fast. So I'm gonna gamble and pray that he doesn't get the 33% return, which would knock out my Dugtrio, because if I'm... Best case scenario here is I get in my Dugtrio on a Power-Up Punch or on a Rest, I can knock it out with a Z-Fly, or a Z-Aerial Ace, and then I maintain my Heatran sack, which is important so I don't let Blacephalon get a boost, and I can just get a free switch into something. So this may have been a misplay, but if I get it right, it's very beneficial for me, so it was high risk, high reward. And he is going to get the return, which is annoying for me because that was the one turn where I didn't want him to get return. So that sucked. Kind of a misplay, definitely a misplay, but at this point I realized Kartana can set up on this thing, but the problem is I can't set up yet because his Dragonite, if he's fully physically defensive, does not die to a +2 Smart Strike from here. So I have to pull the double out. So this was just me baiting out the cart as I'm going to sack off my Heatran now, knowing that the Dragonite's going to come in. So now, after another round of rocks, it is in range of the +2 Smart Strike. And I can just go into my Lele here and start clicking Moonblast. Pretty much everything dies to it at this point, or is to it KO'd or something like that. So he's going to make the smart play and not go hard into Mesprit, because it wouldn't get to it KO'd unless I got the drop. But if I got a drop, then I could potentially set up with Cart in its face, and, well, most likely not. Anyways, he's going to go into Blacephalon here. Now, this endgame's tricky. I know my arrow can revenge kill this thing, and he knows that. So, and the big thing I'm fearing right here is if he's like a subset, I can't allow him to set up a sub as I switch out and sack off something. So basically what I'm going to do here is just click Moonblast. I did also think he'd be Scarfed, but he's not Scarfed, which I honestly think is bad prep, that he has nothing on his team that outspeeds Kartana. Straight up, I just think that's bad prep. But nonetheless, I get the Moonblast special attack drop, which might be a little bit of justice since he got the 30% Sleep Talk roll return that let him save a sack to my Lele. So who knows, but he's going to go for the Shadow Ball, and he's not going to be able to knock me out, which is big because now I can fire off a hit. He's going to sack off his Hippowdon and so that my Lele dies to the sand. Now here was a very pivotal point in the game, and looking back on it, I think I should have just gone directly into my Aerodactyl right here, but I'm going to go into my Kartana. Now, my two plays were to bank off the choke of him clicking Earthquake or Slack Off right here, and I SD, or just go for the Leaf Blade and knock him out. I think I probably should have just gone for the banking off the choke play, but I'm going to go for the Smart Strike and take out his Hippowdon, and I get my speed boost. So because of this, he can go into his Dragonite now, and I can't take him out with a Smart Strike. So my play here is to SD on the potential Roost or Dragon Dance, and then I can keep it low or potentially knock it out with like a crit or something. So I play this endgame weird, as he's going to fire off the Pummeling and knock out my Kartana, and at this point, I'm gonna screw up. So I go into my Aerodactyl and I fire off the Stone Edge, I knock this thing out, and now I have the game in the bag. Like, except for the fact that I have the biggest brain aneurysm of many seasons in draft play, and I choke. I got distracted in real life, and I wasn't paying full attention, and I just completely forgot Sandstorm was up. So I knew I couldn't knock this out with one Stone Edge, and I felt like my hope at this point was that Zapdos would come in, fire off a T-Bolt, put this thing in range of my Aerodactyl, and then it'd be fine from there. Forgetting that Sandstorm boosts my special defense, which meant I could take one hit from this thing and 2-hit KO it with my arrow. So I switch out, and he's going to go for the Psychic. It does knock me out. The crit on knockoff did mean that my Zapdos couldn't live that hit, which is a little annoying, but I also got lucky in this game. So essentially I throw it at the end, by forgetting about Sandstorm, that just threw it away. So it was just a bonehead play. I feel really dumb about it. I hate making bad mistakes like that. It just aggravates me that I could do something so stupid, but what's done is done, and now I just have to move on. It's not the worst thing in the world, since it's 1-2 a loss. We're still in the positive, and we have a lot of weeks to go. So my goal from here is to just bounce right back, get right back in the swing of things, and see what we can do from there. So yeah, it was definitely I choked. I made a stupid play I wasn't thinking, and that's what happened. So stay woke, pay attention always, and I guess I'm 2-1 now. Yeah, that's a bummer. See ya.